Hello, officially for me. I want to say that I'm glad to be here. Thank you for the invitation and the possibility to speak. As you know, our country, for a period of 45 years, it has a socialist development, and after that, in 1989, large-scale changes emerged after the restoration of capitalism. There were started private property market relation. There was a privatization of key branches of the economy and liquidation of the large enterprises. The economic outlook for the vast majority of the working class was deteriorated significantly, was accompanied the entity of the Western, mainly American culture of individualism and moral destruction. Another important consequence of the restoration of capitalism in Bulgaria is the loss of the national sovereignty. The country was integrated in the imperialist world system as a raw appendage for natural and human resources. In a little more than 30 years, the population of Bulgaria decreased by almost a third, and there's a tenth of the demographic catastrophe. Many of the most trained cadres educated during the socialism went to live and work in the Western countries. In this way, the developed capitalist countries received hundreds of thousands of trained specialists in a number of fields for free. This is a new form of exploitation of our countries. Key resources, as the Bulgarian gold deposits, the electricity distribution companies, the water supply in the large cities, the telecommunication operators, etc., fell in the hands of the large Western capitalist entities. At the present moment, under the pressure of Brussels, Bulgaria is forced to fulfill the condition of so-called Green Deal and to come to its energy capacity related with the production of electricity from coal plants. Such a measure would lead to a further worsening of the economic situation in the country and energy crisis and further dependence of the foreign corporations. In order to guarantee the security of these consequences of the restoration of capitalism and the exploitation of people and the resources, independence of the country, Bulgaria was brought in the imperialist alliance of NATO and EU. This was part of the big tendency of the expansion of the American imperialism in the Eastern Europe and the surrounding of Russia with the opposite countries of the Russian Federation. This was part of the imperialist plans. And we are in time while the Bulgarian comprador bourgeoisie is preparing the next step, the putting Bulgaria in the Eurozone, which will further make the country more dependent on the imperialist structures. Over the past 34 years, the US Embassy has been formed as the major political for domestic political issues. The ambassador of the United States of America is the main political figure in Bulgaria. Even the formation of nowadays Bulgarian government is a fact thanks to his influence and leading his influence to the leading parties in our country. In previous years, this was done. These attempts were made to deny this impact. But today, the masks are falling, and the pressure of the American embassy is being made more open and even more pro-American politics admitted. Another aspect of our country's strong dependence is the military involvement in the imperialism plans for aggression and control over the Eastern Europe. There is currently 4 American military bases in Bulgaria, located in the eastern part of the country. These are not even NATO bases. We know our country is a member of NATO. These are pure American military bases. There are no Bulgarian, they stay in Bulgarian territory without any payment for that. And the Bulgarian government doesn't have even a right to know what kind of military equipment there is in these bases. In the present situation, our Balkan region and these bases become more and more important with developing of the tensions between the United States and Russia, and more military exercises with the American participation have happened, and this leads including to accidents with the civilians. A factory in Bulgaria was stormed by the American troops by mistake. At the moment, one of the main political issues in the country is the question for sending military aid to Ukraine. Like all the vassal states of the United States, since 2014, the Bulgarian state has taken firm position in support of the new Kiev's regime. After February 2022, the sending of military funds to Ukraine began. Weapon was sent from Bulgaria to Ukraine. The Bulgarian military industry grew almost 3 times during this period. And after that, the parliament voted for sending S-300 aircraft systems to the regime in Kiev. All these stands, however, find increasing disapproval among the people. The worsening economic situation and the lack of prospects created the basis of popular discontent, wide popular discontent. This slight influence of the American embassy on the internal affairs of the country is beginning to be disliked by more and more people. The military aid that Bulgaria sends to Ukraine is extremely unpopular. The ideology of the Bulgarian bourgeoisie, presenting the restoration of capitalism as a transition to democracy, this ideology went to bankrupt. The government is implementing measures that are strongly disapproved by vast majority of society. Every month, marches against the NATO and against the further involvement of Bulgaria in the Ukraine conflict are taking place in the major Bulgarian cities. Among the representatives of the parliamentary parties, there could be heard the critical words regarding the Bulgarian participation in NATO in the EU. As I mentioned, the issue about the Eurozone, problem that in Greece is very familiar. Over 600,000 signatures was collected for requesting a referendum against entering Bulgaria in the Eurozone. But until now, such a referendum did not happen yet. To keep Bulgaria inside the sphere of the influence of the US imperialism, the methods of the bourgeois democracy proved to be insufficient. This is the reason why the fascist tendency, censorship, and the political violence are visible now in our countries. The authorities are trying to create anti-Russian and anti-communist hysteria. The municipal council of Sofia decided to remove the monument of the Red Army, which is standing in the center of the city. Even the Russian church in Sofia came under attack. The church was closed and the Russian priests were exiled as foreign spies supposed to be. The prohibition of the communist ideology and the communist symbols are often discussed. The restoration of capitalism in Bulgaria led to rehabilitation of fascism. The most striking example of the weakness of the current system in Bulgaria is the activization of the neo-Nazi groups, mainly in the capital, Sofia. The main target of attacks is the monument of the Soviet Army. In the last years, there were several attacks against the sign which says greetings to the Red Army and the Soviet Union from the Bulgarian people. But not only the monument, also people were attacked. There have happened numerous of physical attacks against the people who oppose the nowadays situation in Bulgaria, including members of our organization are being physically attacked in the center of Sofia. The aggravated political situation provides conditions for serious popular movements in the near future. The contrast between the actions of the authorities and the wishes of the people is serious. In such a situation, the need of sufficiently strong and adequate political force to become exponent and vanguard of the struggle of the Bulgarian people against the US imperialism comes to a fore. Such a political force could be only the communist parties of the working people in Bulgaria. Building such organizations is a serious challenge in today's Bulgarian condition. It goes through a resolution of a number of ideological questions, such as reasons and circumstances for the restoration of capitalism and this counter-revolution that happened in the Eastern European countries. The clarifying of the conception, the terms of imperialism, which as we heard from the previous speeches, many people don't understand very clearly from the Marxist point of view. Another issue is to defend Marxism in the nowadays modern conditions. These are large-scale tasks, and the implementation of which is extremely important for us to draw the experience of our commerce from different countries in the world. That's why for us it's very important to be here to exchange ideas and experience, and also to work together for the united actions, united struggle of all the anti-imperialist forces, which is a necessary condition for our successful struggle. Thank you for the attention.